Self-acceptance is your superpower. It would have to be because that's why you were born. And it becomes your superpower when you discover it, and that is your authentic self. And it doesn't matter when you might do that, just as long as you do while you're alive. But I will say that you have something that you came to the world to offer, and it's probably coming about now. You might have even been feeling it today, that there's something you're meant to do, and you haven't quite done it yet. And that's because the world is changing, and so have you. And it's been a little confusing. So I thought I would give you something today that would show you that your authentic self is that's where your superpower is. That's why you were born. That was the gift that you came to offer the world. It just takes us a while before we understand that in our lives individually, but also in the world collectively. And because everything has changed so quickly in the last several years, you might have had a little bit of trouble accepting your authentic self or even believing that you could use a word like superpower. But everyone has it. We just make different decisions about that as we live our lives. But I'm going to share something that I put together just today because I thought it would be so cool for you to have it on this day because it will tell you so much about me, my work, and also the channeling session that I'm going to be holding on Tuesday because we have a full moon, and it'll be another time for you to embrace more of who you are because that's what we're all supposed to do. Why would we have been born any differently than anyone else? We just thought about ourselves in a different way. But now we have the opportunity to change that. So you're going to really enjoy this and you're going to get so much out of it, but I'm going to read it all to you as well. So let me give that to you. Self-acceptance is your superpower. September 14th, 2024. September 14th, 2023. Self-acceptance is your superpower. It would have to be you, or you would not be reading our words, as you have never been in an accidental place. You consciously decide when you hear your guidance and when you decide to accept your significance. We provided a message on this date 3 years ago that you may better understand and accept now, and that process occurs in your consciousness. You will see that the dates will shift around, and that's for a reason, and nothing is repeated accidentally. But there is an order that we will accept who we are individually and also in our collective consciousness. September 14th, 2020. Please stop minimizing yourself. Yes, we are speaking to you, and you have done this. But the good news is that is what you were meant to do in this lifetime. How could you expand, evolve, and become more unless you had minimized yourself? Now we will prove it to you. We awakened Roger a bit earlier today, which is typically the best way we capture his attention. Many of you have questioned your sleepless nights, and most times they occur because your guides are attempting to get you to listen to that very guidance. What we asked Roger was, what is your intention? We are speaking specifically about the webinar he is holding this Wednesday. Roger's initial idea was to share part of his life's journey, hoping that others would understand why he is passionate about his work. As Roger prepared his presentation, he began questioning how much he should include or reveal and how relevant it might be to his audience. The most surprising thing about our encounter with Roger this morning is his continued blindness to what he is on earth to do, just like you. Roger said to his friend the other day, who is older and has contemplated writing about their life, and others encouraged them. Still, they felt their life experience wasn't that significant. And Roger said, everyone's life is meaningful, and your story would help another. Each of you is supposed to do that. And Roger was attempting to make another choice and minimize himself again, as you have done. In the middle of his questioning this morning, an alert on his phone said, "Why I teach singing." It was an advertisement for t-shirts, but Roger knew it wasn't accidental, and we were giving him his answer. How could he hope to explain that or fulfill his intention while minimizing himself? Then we told him to look up the word iteration as we wanted him to study it. But Roger thought most would not understand the word. So we told him to write the definition here, and all of you will know what you are doing this lifetime. We meant every one of those words. Iteration, the process of doing something again and again, usually to improve it or one of the times you do it. Please note, Roger did not underline those words, but copied this directly. Nothing is accidental. They had me find the word iteration to have us imagine that we are all continually improving our lives until we get it right, but we're also doing the same thing in our world, and that is the period that we're in now. March 11th, 2020. Rip off the Band-Aid quickly. There are certain times when analogies work well for explanation, and this is one of them. Roger has been avoiding a topic we pointed out to him years ago. You each do this in some way. You think that if you don't acknowledge a challenge or difficulty you might be experiencing in your life, they will magically disappear. That is never the case and not a solution you want. Your intention is to live free as an empowered being. That will never manifest if you attempt to hide those things you know you can see and are within your power to change. Now we will rip it off. Roger has mastered a habit of not asking for what he wants. He has known this and wanted to know why, the reasons why, as you all do. The reasons may come from a myriad of sources, but that is not important, for you can only change in your moment of now. Roger uses a grammar program for some of his writing and would continually receive an alert that his writing was passive. He kept seeing this and tried to ignore it. Last night, he could no longer do so. Roger saw the result of work done by someone he hired, and it was not to Roger's liking. The ensuing confrontation Roger imagined was painful. One reason Roger does this is he doesn't want to upset the apple cart, so to speak. Those are the best words we could find, but he has been operating in this manner his entire life. Now, this characteristic is beneficial for him, however, for it allows him to be empathetic with others. But often he leaves himself out of the equation. There is a way to ask for what you want without it being a confrontation or disempowering another. Roger will find the solution, and so will each of you in your lives. Please stop denying what you want. When you do, you will help heal your lives and the world. Peace is always available for those wanting to find it. When I first received the information that said I had this philosophy called Your Life Operating Instructions, and anyone who uses it, they would expand, they would evolve, they would start to know themselves, they would heal, and all. But that was challenging. And they said, we gave it all to you in 2012. Go back to January 1st, because if you start with this premise, you will understand what all of you have within you. You just develop it over time. January 1st, 2012, infinite intelligence is always available to all souls, and all one need do is become willing to access it. You are continually being made aware of this fact, but at certain times you are not willing to listen. You will experience many times where you think you are hearing certain information again, but the only difference is you are now hearing it as an expanded being. This is precisely the process of expansion that you sought. There is no monopoly on information or intelligence, and it is shared by all, for you are all one. Study is the process of repeating or reliving that very intelligence so it becomes part of the new you. Wilhelm. Then the very first message that I received from Wilhelm was on this date, February 19th, 1989. And since then, I have written them down every single day. And that's what turned into a philosophy that is transformative. And so, but that was not something that I was going to accept at that time because I had to live it just as you do. We have to take the steps into understanding what we were given. Mine was just a little different because it took a long time. The first one, 1989, February 19th. Yes, it is indeed wise for you to realize how powerful you are and also to acknowledge the innate benevolence of your being. You seem to consistently maintain a subtle fear that somehow you would use your power in an ego-oriented way to the detriment of others. The truth for you is exactly the opposite. For the more you gain, you give away. The anger you sense or hostility at times, as you have also been aware of, is not truly directed at others, but merely a reflection of your inner frustration with the intellectual knowledge of your power and your simultaneous restriction of that power, which causes friction. It is everyone's power to do with as they please, and your individual way is becoming more clear and purposeful for you. Be careful of the instilled limitations which would not have you own your worth. Relax and enjoy. Wilhelm. That message, everyone will read that and you will find parts of yourself in there. We all have this benevolent part of us, but we seem to forget it at different times, and now is a great time to remember it. Now, then after I did that message years later, just this year, as a matter of fact, I started to look and I said, wait a minute, there's a synchronicity that happens in the world with all events and things that are created. So I went to look up February 19th. And if you go to my website, Any Advice for Today, you will find this on 2024. And so I listed all the messages that I had received on every February 19th. And it was just shocking to see how aligned they were. But when you read them, you will see that it will change you because it changes in your consciousness. But you can see all the different things that were created during that time. There's an alignment in the universe that we're all part of. And we just have to find our individual way to tap into that. And this is what I was able to do with these messages. And they were coinciding and aligned with all the energetic changes that were happening in our world, including up until today. Then I discovered that Carl Jung had told us about this synchronicity, concept introduced by Carl Jung to describe events that coincide in time and appear meaningful, related, yet lack a discoverable causal connection. And I could not explain to you why these messages were coming about on certain dates that were aligned. But we come to discover, if we study physics, and there is connection to all things in our world, including us. So then I decided this is the message, and you'll find it on my site, Any Advice for Today, and it says accepting this message will change your life and world. I'm sorry, let me go back. You will see when you go to Any Advice for Today, you will find all of that. So then we're going to go to the message for tomorrow. I'm saying this because there are times where Wilhelm will give me messages that we will accept at a certain time. And this is where we're meant to understand what we are all doing. You are manifesting the new world. You will do so by how much you decide to forgive and love yourself. There is no other person with more power and ability to accomplish that goal than you. We have been guiding you through your restructuring your world for centuries, but we will refresh your memory with the message we gave you on this date a year ago. You can accept it more now. We hope you accept your importance now. And this is the message on September 15th of 2022. We gave you a philosophy. We are beginning today with a further explanation of all the material we have provided over the last several years. For now is the time you are meant to accept more. You are each born with equal ability, talent, and skills you could utilize to manifest a magnificent life. You will make different choices about who you decide to become, and you never know what that might be when you are born. But it would allow you to evolve if you were to accept what you were given. You decided to be alive during the restructuring of your world, and as we said, it was also generational, meaning you are meant to accomplish something more than your ancestors or all those who came before. You will contribute when you decide to love yourself, and you do that by accepting every aspect of who you are, and that is your authentic self. Yesterday, we had Roger write a post on social media apologizing that he could not be as attentive as he was in joining other groups or programs because he had a philosophy to deliver. None of those words were accidental, for he knew that was accurate. But like you, he has carried his fear and doubt, even with all the evidence we have provided. You have done the same thing and were meant to. Otherwise, no evolution would occur. September 5th, 2012. They want to show there's an alignment, and 2012 was a time in our world where all this information came through. Starting again allows you to create fun and adventure in your physical life experience with whatever you attempt to do, be, or become. Each time you decide to start again, you come with heightened awareness and understanding. Each time you start again, you activate new knowledge, wisdom, and abilities that might have previously escaped your awareness. Many times, however, when you held the thought to start again, you have judged yourself as having failed in some way previously. In actuality, failure never occurs. It is merely added wisdom you gain from every attempt. Please understand that in 2012, that message I could not accept and it didn't make sense to me. We understand things about ourselves as we evolve, and usually we need linear time to have that acceptance, and we can have more of it now. Now, when I was told I had all this information, that was 2021. And then I was told I was going to do live channeling. I should do that. I said, I can't do it because it was too confronting for me. They said, you must, or you're going to break, because they were saying I had information that could help so many and help our world. We all do, but I was meant to bring it through in this way, but I was resistant, just as many of us are. So, but what I did, what we're doing now, is on this coming Tuesday is the full moon, and we're having a channeling session. And so I decided, let me see what they wanted me to use on that date. And it was this message for all of us to understand. That's why the session on Tuesday is called Embrace Your Unique Path, because you're supposed to be unique. So this is the message. You were supposed to be different. We mean that statement in two ways. First, who you are at your core and the life experiences you have had and will have were intended to be new and unique. And you are the only one who could fulfill that role on your planet. The second way you were supposed to be different was so you might do more than all those who came before could have done. You will accomplish that when you love who you have become and forgive everything you may have believed about yourself that was wrong. Everything we have given you in our Ascension Guide was designed to lead you to more self-belief and love. And we did so on this date in 2012. Please suspend your disbelief about yourself and your world, for when you accept this message, you will aid your evolution and the planetary ascension. You were needed. September 17th, 2012. Your goal is always something different. In other words, when you decided to have a physical life experience, it was with the sole intention of adding to your evolvement, that of all others, and your world at large. How you accomplish this is to create something different. There is little value in attempting to recreate what has already been done. This also requires extreme courage on your part. As you live in a society, there is an emphasis on normality or fitting in. When you hold your belief in something different, you are going against that norm and truly creating. This all occurs through inspiration or accessing and allowing your spiritual wisdom and knowledge to come to you. Then I decided to look and see what September 17th. I took this and I went into Chat GPT because we have AI now. We have artificial intelligence. We're always expanding individually and also in our technology. And so I wanted to see, what were these aligned with what Wilhelm had given me? And they said yes. The messages you shared dated September 17th from various years relate to the upcoming full moon on September 17th, 2024 in profound ways, particularly in themes of evolution, spiritual growth, and the importance of individual contribution to collective change. Here's how they connect. Now, I'll leave that all here. You can stop, pause your video if you want to read all of it, but you will see the connections, but it will be what is going to come through and what will be answered for you on Tuesday during our session. Now, I started to write an article and I haven't finished it, but I will because we're moving through dynamic changes. And over the last several weeks, I put up several articles because I wanted people to understand the changes in our galaxies, our planets, our energies, and how they affect us emotionally and why we might be seeing certain things in our world or experiencing them in ourselves. Societal transitions are moments of profound change that can reshape our world, often revealing long-standing issues that have been ingrained in the fabric of our civilization. As we move through these periods, the elements that come to light most prominently are often racism, misogyny, and power dynamics. These are not new problems, but they become more visible as the structures that hold them begin to shift. For individuals, understanding and addressing these issues can be a powerful way to navigate and make the most of these transitions. I want to tell you that when I first started receiving all of this and I knew the world was changing and I needed to develop something, Wilhelm said, you've got to clear yourself. And so if you go to my website, rogerburnley.com, and read the articles, you'll see that I've put out everything over the years to show these changes that were coming. But the very first article is on in 2016, where I said I might be racist with misogynistic tendencies. And so I had to look at that because to understand that they somewhere throughout my history, my soul's history, they must have been there. So unless I move through them, I can't ascend to my higher state of understanding and consciousness, and our world can't do the same thing either. So it's up to each of us to do that, to come to who we're meant to be. And that's why this work came through as well. Then, when I didn't want to do channeling, I said, no, we all resist ourselves. I said, I'm not going to do this because I don't understand what's happening. But my Wilhelm says, if you don't do live channeling, you might have to break. What they were saying is that we each have something we're supposed to do. And if we don't do it, we still suffer. We go broke. We are unhappy. We're depressed simply because we're resisting. So I said, okay, I'll do it. And this was the first message that they wanted me to use. And at that time, I didn't understand why. But that was almost 4 years ago now. But now I understand it. Because they said, we want you to understand what you will see in your world because you experience it all the time. This is how civilizations change. But they wanted us to start here. February 22nd, 2017. Money, love, control, and power are intricately woven together in your life, so much so that you have difficulty recognizing the distinctions. This very issue is the cause of many difficulties you and others experience. It will take some time for you to decipher all of this, but this is a good place to begin. You begin to associate money with love, power, and control because that is how you grew up. If your parents or those in charge gave you something of value or money, you associated that with being loved. But you also associated this with your parents holding all the control and power. You then begin to usurp those characteristics and begin using them in your own life. You will think that if you give another enough money, you will feel love and experience your own power as well as control over others. This is never what you are truly seeking. As you can see this is just a beginning. Ponder this for a bit, Wilhelm. And so what that is saying, that is the dynamic that we have set up within each of us. We will find it in our lives, but we will see it more broadly in our world, and we're experiencing that now. Then, when they said, we gave you all this message, one of the first things they did was give me the infinite intelligence. But then they said, at the end of the year, we want you to understand that you each are creating your future. You're doing it all the time, but this is the message. But it's really important at this time because we're creating this new world. Okay. Today is the day you have decided to consciously and deliberately release your past and embrace your future. This is something that you also have the opportunity to do each and every moment of your physical life experience, but it is much easier for you to notice and appreciate the process of this today. You do indeed create your future and personal reality by what you decide to do physically, but you would also do well to remember that the first and most important step of the process begins in the thoughts you choose to hold. These thoughts will allow you that future to be made manifest for you. It will never be precisely as you imagine, for it will always be better or for your highest good in some manner. Let me tell you, when that came through, I didn't believe that. I do now, and you will as well. Okay. Then I did this. This is just fun. You can find this somewhere. I just did a search to see how power dynamics change over time. And this is 4,000 years of world history, which was such a cool graphic. I'll put a link in there so you guys, if you want to see it, you can find that one. But that's what I wanted to give you today. And thank you so much for being here. Please subscribe to the channel if it's your first time. And also, please come to the channeling session, check out the program, share it with others because it will change your life and take you to where you're meant to be. And together we will all make this great world because your life is going to be magnificent. Thank you so much, and I'll see you soon.